Well, Frida Reba Darcy and Patricia O'Connor here. We are back. I think we've already dropped 2 videos, but those were videos that I had done before we had the little technical issues. Past this week, this intro won't make a whole lot of sense in the long and short of things. But this is our first video back after some equipment problems we've been chasing technical issues. I was with a cable company who had really good customer service, so I kept them kind of hanging in there probably longer than I should have, and it started affecting other parts of my equipment. So I had to have equipment repaired, and then I had to go to a different internet provider. More than you ever wanted to know about our little behind the scenes stuff. But I've got all that taken care of, and it was actually, I guess, worse than I thought, because once I finally bit the bullet and changed my provider, our issues pretty much fell by the wayside, and we found everything just taken pretty good care. Our speeds are up, our upload speeds are up, and yeah, we pretty much got everything taken care of. We're looking at a pretty nice day here on the balcony. It looks kind of cloudy. Our lights popped off about 45 minutes ago. We're in the afternoon here on a winter day in Alameda, California. I'm Patricia O'Connor, and this is our bonsai balcony. And today's little observation is that our temperatures are in the upper 60s up here. I watered today. It rained yesterday, but the trees did get dry enough that some of them needed water. I think they're waking up. I just kind of went through here and was doing a walk through earlier today. I can't really tell by my cork bark oak if it's spring, or my coastal oak if it's spring, for the simple reason that they don't really go through a lot of winter dormancy anyway. They slow down their growth above ground, but they still put out buds. They just slow down. Below ground, you see what's going on. Look how mounded, look how high all of those ridges are on the base. That's not moss standing up that thick. A lot of that is the ground swelling underneath. Well, some of that's moss. It's a little punchy. But also what's going on underneath here is that mass, those roots are swelling up and they're growing, and this is their time. This is their time to grow and do their thing in winter. And what that's going to start is when these guys do get rolling, when they recognize the change of seasons and get rolling, they're gonna just push out a whole lot of growth based on the amount of growth I see in the trees kind of heaving up a little bit in the pots. Also, I'm starting to see buds. I'm starting to see buds on my maple. Trying to get around there. I'm just kind of leaning into the oak tree, but I'm starting to see buds on the sun side of the maple. And the bumps here, the little goose bump looking things that bald cypresses do, those guys are starting to raise up. It's like the trees are breathing. It starts showing, all the buds start to swell and stuff like they're ready to bust out, and then we'll get a cold spell and they'll kind of maybe fall back a little. On our pine table, we're looking pretty green. We're looking pretty happy. Most of our trees are doing nice. We're just kind of waiting, playing this waiting game. Quick look at our ponderosa table. Those guys look like they're hanging out and doing nicely. I went through and started picking weeds on some of my smaller pines, and I sure will be glad when these guys get green up. There's nothing really wrong with that color. That's winter color, but I'll be glad when those colors get hard green again. But I'm happy with the look of most of our trees. I'm happy with the way everybody's going through. Oh, I'm starting to see some yellow in here. I might address I might address something's going on in there. Maybe that looks kind of yellow on that end. I need to go in there and weed again. It wasn't just 2 weeks ago that I did that, but the rains and the warm weather are starting to cause those guys to grow a lot of clover. Anyway, this is our foot. This is us dabbing our foot back into the business of making bonsai videos, and we're waiting on spring like everybody else is, but we're starting to feel it here, and I'm starting to see it a little bit in the trees. Now that doesn't mean we're out of the woods. It could turn nasty. Heck, it can always do that. We can get as far as April and things could decide to do a turnaround and just kill everything it's grown. It's up till about mid-April is when the farmers always said around here that it was around mid-April you could put out seedlings, is what they say. And anytime before then, you're not guaranteed of it not freezing. I haven't seen a freeze here in a couple of years, but the one year I broke that rule and put out a bunch of seedlings, I did 2 weeks before mid-April. And I was going, wow, I missed it by 2 weeks by not obeying that rule. So yeah, that's kind of just a quick look. I'm pretty happy with, I kind of wanted to show off the oak trees and what they're doing. They're just doing their thing. We had a lot of dieback on this tree. You can see it took a chop there, took a chop there. All of these main thick branches have been cut back, like somebody took a, like sometimes when the city prunes back huge trees and you go, oh my God, why did you do that? It looks so naked. By the time I got through with this thing, it looked very much like that, but we were hacking stuff off as we were losing it. We were cutting off everything that would turn black, and 1 or 2 inches of heavy hardwood would turn black in a day, and then I would cut it off that afternoon, and then the next day we would reevaluate. So this is the grow back and the comeback that's happened since then. And when I got the tree, its canopy was out, kind of out here a bit, and it had branches going up in every direction. Not every direction. It didn't break the sending rules, sending branches back rule, and it didn't break the rule of threes. In other words, 3 branches in one spot rule. But it did have branches that go because that's a pretty fairly characteristic that oaks do. I've seen other people with their oaks, and they don't necessarily go through and clip everything that's growing straight up, right? I would. I say it in that past turn, and to furthermore, I will. Not right now. When we had the amount of dieback that this tree had, it had a substantial amount of roots down below. It had more than enough roots to start rebuilding some tree structure as soon as it stopped getting killed by what was killing it. So its bounce back from that was actually kind of immediate, and when that happened, the tree was just so bare. The first thing I did, and I would kind of recommend that if something like this happens to you, this is what I would recommend. That thing where I say about everything growing up and everything growing back and everything growing more than 2s, like in 3s or something. Play that by ear until you start getting some limbs on the tree. Whenever you have to cut something back hard like that, then don't go through and cut everything off. That breaks one of those trimming rules when the tree is trying to put stuff back on. Also, you want it to put as much back on as it can. So, to that end, I don't have a lot of branches coming out and going back towards the tree, me being the tree, in other words. But I do have some 3s, and I do have a lot of branches that are going straight up, and some other rules that I've kind of let slide. And that is just until we achieve some momentum, some growth that we can keep the coppers full. And by the coppers, I mean we can keep the energy when we have plenty of things to make, to photosynthesize, to keep the tree rolling. That's what's most important at that stage in the game. Once you get the ball rolling, the faster you can accelerate the ball rolling, the better. The quicker you'll get development on the tree again. Right now, I'm at the stage where we have it's starting to look pretty okay. I mean, I love the way the tree looks already. I'm not crazy about it. I've seen it looking better, which is to say, yes, but we have, I'm looking at it now, like we have holes to fill. Also, while we're doing this regrow, I've decided to bring limbs farther down on the tree. I'm letting all these little guys here go out because this is getting us, they help us to get fat. I'll let them go a little while to where they add to the tree, and then I cut them all back. So that's what'll go there with all those little salmon-y shoots. They're as far down as they are. I'll let them go. That's perfectly fine for now. Before they become real limbs, I will rub them off or cut them back. But this is going to be on this side, a new bottom branch over here, and on the other side, this guy is going to be our bottom branch. So I'm taking growth farther down the tree, where before I kind of felt like it was a little too much, just everything coming out of the very top. I'm going to bring the growth down some a little farther. There's evidence where I can show you this. You can see when I come around, you can see right there that is cut paste where a limb was. So I'm not the first one. I didn't do that. You can kind of see it's back in the hole because that's how deep the bark has grown since that limb was cut. That was before I got here, but before I met the tree. So it had limbs down there that far, almost, farther than what I'm doing before. And I don't know that I would have, yeah, maybe. Anyway, I don't know that I would have cut that had it been me, but I don't know why they cut it either. Like I said, it wasn't my tree then, it wasn't my thing, so. So at some point though, when this spring, it's gonna start busting out, and we're going to see a lot more filling in. We're looking at it. We need to fill in this area. We need to fill in this. I'd like for it to be kind of an umbrella canopy. I'd like it to go out, kind of, be a big, impressive umbrella canopy. And then once we let those pieces bifurcate out a little bit, at that point, maybe 2 years from now, it's hard to say because this thing doesn't stop putting out shoots at some point in the spring and summer. It does that all year, and I end up sometimes getting 2 or 3 rounds of growth in the summer. But at some point, I will go through and I will try to create more light and more air and more room for the inside of the interior of the tree by taking out everything that's going straight up. In other words, when I've got enough twigs and branches and all of that stuff to where something's got to go, the first thing will be all those little times where I bent the rules, and then when it comes time, when we've eliminated all of my little rule breaking moments until we, that helped us get here, at some point, then we'll start making other decisions about what we'll eliminate. At some point, we'll be looking at one thing and going, well, this is smaller than this thing, and that's the deciding factor. They're both in a good place. They were both grown well. So, that'll guide our decision making then. Sometimes what's older will guide our decision making. But right now, while we're trying to establish a canopy, we're just trying to make a lot of leaves and a lot of limbs, and we're letting some things fly. There's some knobs on the end of here. That's a cluster of limbs. That should maybe be 2, but that just creates more gaps and more reasons why we need more growth. So I'm going this way. We're feeding it heavy. We're watering it right, and when it has so many little twigs and branches and limbs that we have to start cutting back stuff, it'll be like a beauty contest, and we'll start cleaning up some of our indiscretions at that point. And at that point, they're not really indiscretions. They're just helping us build mass. Even if they're helping us fill up this area so that it doesn't look so beat up. A concerning, discriminating eye will still see that some of that is not as desirable branches and stuff, but for our purposes, it's still sending food down to the roots. It's still making the trunk fatter. It's still carrying us along in our little bonsai vortex. So that's kind of my notes on some of the things that I was thinking about when I thought what we would shoot about today. I'm pretty encouraged by how warm everything is. Valentine's Day was yesterday, and that was the day I spent dealing with the fine folks at Apple, and then after that, the fine folks at the cable company. And it was a gauntlet, and it was raining here all day. It looked kind of looked like Blade Runner or something, just running around, running around the city with it just raining and drizzling and basically going from Uber to Lyft to this place to that. But we got a lot done yesterday, and I think the site will be better for it. I was able to do some updates on my laptop that my laptop wasn't even telling me that we were needing, and it wasn't going to bring it up because it was analyzing the situation and determined there wasn't enough bandwidth for the upload. So there was some 2022 updates that my laptop didn't even get, just because it never seemed like a good time. And that happened just as soon as we fired it back up. So yeah, that's kind of the extent at which we got over our technical issues. The upgrades that I made closer to around the end of the year with the phone and all of that took our demands up. Plus the weather met that head on, and at that point, our old way of doing videos just didn't have the infrastructure to maintain what we were doing. It started causing issues, and I didn't have the techie know-how to really realize what was going on. I just went, well, it's weather, it sucks. I guess everybody does. Not everybody. I was kind of beating a dead horse at that point. Like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. We may do a show tonight from the bench and the couch at Frida's place. So far, my little Ponderosa has had 2 frosty nights in the freezer. It looks fine. I think that might be a working system. I wanted to put some time in between the bouts of that and fall back and see if I saw any signs of what I've done. And it might be these trees just move slow, but so far I haven't. I appreciate you, and Frida appreciates you, and thank you so much for watching.